Have you ever sat alone with a cup of tea in your hands and thought, where did the time go? It's strange, isn't it? One moment you're raising a family, working hard, running around, busy every day, and then suddenly things slow down. The house gets quieter, the pace of life shifts, and you begin to wonder, did I live it the way I should have? Did I spend my time well? Or did I get caught up in the wrong things, too afraid, too busy, too distracted? You're not alone in asking these questions. In fact, the most common regret shared by people over 80 has nothing to do with money, possessions, or fame. It's not about the house they owned or the job they worked. No, their biggest regret is something much deeper. They wish they had lived a life true to themselves, not the life others expected of them. That truth hits hard, doesn't it? And it's exactly why I'm making this video, because the good news is, it's not too late. You still have time to change the course of your story. Whether you're 60, 70, or even older, there are simple, powerful steps you can take right now to avoid that same regret. You can live the rest of your life with clarity, health, purpose, and joy. And it starts today. Let's begin with something foundational, something most people overlook until it's too late, and that's your physical energy. Because when your body feels weak, tired, or stiff, it affects everything else. Your mood, your motivation, your mind. But here's the thing, your body wants to feel alive again. You just need to give it the chance. Start with something incredibly simple. Drink a glass of water first thing in the morning. I know it sounds almost too easy, but let me tell you why this matters so much. After sleeping for 6-8 hours, your body is dehydrated, your brain is foggy, your metabolism is slow, and before you reach for coffee or tea, just a single glass of room temperature water can wake up your system, flush out overnight toxins, and signal to your body, hey, we're starting fresh. It's a small act of self-care that speaks volumes to your health. And what's beautiful is that it costs nothing. You can do it tomorrow. You can do it every day. And in just a week, you'll feel the difference. Less fatigue, more clarity, a subtle but powerful shift in your energy. Now let's talk about movement. And don't worry, I'm not talking about jumping into gym routines or running laps around the block. I'm talking about gentle, intentional movement. A short walk after breakfast, a light stretch before bed, maybe even dancing to a favorite song while no one's watching. You see, movement isn't just about muscles or flexibility, it's about circulation. When you move, you get the blood flowing through your legs, your arms, your brain. You feed your body with oxygen. You loosen those stiff joints. And most importantly, you remind yourself that you're still here, still capable, still alive in this body. Even 5 to 10 minutes a day makes a difference. You might start small, just pacing around the living room while listening to music. But over time, you'll notice something beautiful. Your confidence begins to return. You feel lighter, stronger, more grounded in your own skin. And if walking feels like too much on some days, try simply stretching your arms overhead while breathing deeply. Roll your shoulders, touch your toes gently. The goal isn't perfection, it's motion. Life is motion. And by moving your body, you're saying yes to life again. I want to pause here for a second, because maybe right now you're thinking, I've tried these things before. Nothing really changed. Or maybe a little voice inside you says, it's too late for me. But I promise you it's not. I've seen 70-year-olds transform their energy. I've seen 80-year-olds start painting again, walking daily, smiling wider. The shift doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. The secret is consistency, showing up for yourself every single day, even in small ways. And here's one more thing that might surprise you. How you start your morning shapes your entire day. Let me ask you something. When you wake up, what's the first thing you do? Check your phone, groan and roll out of bed, or maybe just sit there in silence, already feeling the weight of the day before it even begins? What if instead, you took just 2 minutes to breathe deeply, stretch your arms, drink your water, and say something kind to yourself? Maybe something like, today is a gift. I'm going to make it count. That simple shift in your morning routine could be the difference between a day spent drifting and a day lived with purpose. Now I know some days are harder than others. Aging brings its own challenges, aches, appointments, losses, but it also brings something beautiful that younger people don't yet understand: perspective. You've seen more, you've felt more, you've survived more. And that means you're in a perfect place to decide what really matters now. So far, we've touched on hydration, movement, and morning routines. These are not just physical habits. They are signals to your soul that say, I still care, I'm still here, I'm still becoming. And that mindset, that's everything. Because here's what I want you to remember before we move on. Your future is not written in stone. No matter your age, you can still shift the direction of your life. You can rewrite your story. And by choosing simple, consistent habits, by caring for your body with intention, you're already doing it. But there's more to living fully than just the body, isn't there? The next chapter of our conversation is just as important. Because even if your body feels good, what about your mind? What about those moments when you walk into a room and forget why? Or when your thoughts feel slower, foggier, like they're wading through water? You're not imagining it. Cognitive changes are real, but they are not final. And just like your muscles, your brain can grow stronger if you know how to train it. So in the next part, we're going to talk about how to keep your mind sharp, alert, and engaged, no matter your age. We'll explore simple practices to improve memory, boost focus, and reconnect with the mental clarity that helps you truly enjoy life. Because a sharp mind is just as important as a strong body, and the two go hand in hand. Let's keep going. You're doing better than you think. You know, one of the most subtle changes that creeps in as we age isn't in the body, it's in the mind. You might notice it when you forget why you walked into a room, or when you're searching for a word that's sitting right on the tip of your tongue. It can be frustrating. It can even feel a little scary sometimes, can it? But let me tell you something important. Your mind is still yours. It's still powerful, and it's still capable of incredible things. The key is to keep it active, just like a muscle, because a mind that's not used starts to wander, it dulls, and over time that fading sharpness can lead to a quiet regret, a wish that you'd done more to stay mentally alive, alert, and curious. Let's not let that happen to you. The truth is, your brain is wired to grow, even now. You can form new connections, you can keep learning, you can stay sharp, but it takes intention. It takes small steps each day to challenge your mind, stimulate your thoughts, and stay engaged with life. So let's talk about some of those steps, shall we? One of the most powerful things you can do is learn something new every single day. It doesn't have to be big. You don't need to go back to school or get a degree, but pick up a book, watch a documentary, learn how to cook a new recipe, or try a simple craft. When your brain is exposed to something new, something it hasn't seen before, it lights up. It starts building new pathways, forming new connections, and you feel it. You feel more awake, more curious, more alive. And if you want to supercharge this effect, make it a habit. Give your brain a job every morning. Maybe you start your day with a crossword puzzle, or you take 10 minutes to read something challenging. That small bit of focus adds up. It builds strength in your attention span, in your memory, in your sense of purpose. Because let's face it, having something to look forward to learning each day, that's a quiet kind of joy. Now here's another secret most people overlook. Your social life is brain food. Yes, really. It might sound surprising, but studies show that staying socially connected is one of the most powerful ways to prevent cognitive decline. Because real conversation, forces your brain to listen, to recall, to empathize, to respond. It keeps your emotional brain and your logical brain working together. It's like exercise for your neurons. So whether it's a weekly phone call with an old friend, joining a local book club, or simply striking up a conversation with someone at the cafe, you're not just passing time. You're nourishing your mind, you're protecting it. And more importantly, you're reminding yourself, I still matter, I still belong. That feeling of connection is healing. And it's especially important in this stage of life, when loneliness can sneak in silently. But connection is always available to us, if we reach out. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you really laughed? Like belly laughed? When was the last time you played? When you gave yourself permission to be silly or lighthearted? Because mental sharpness isn't just about memory or logic. It's also about emotional flexibility. It's about being able to shift your state, to feel joy, to embrace surprise, to let your brain breathe instead of always worrying or solving problems. Laughter is medicine. Fun is fuel. Don't forget that. You deserve joy just as much as wisdom. And speaking of fuel, we can't ignore this next piece. Your brain runs on what you feed it. Literally. Are you eating enough healthy fats? Getting your greens? Drinking enough water? These simple things have a direct impact on your memory, your clarity, your mood. When your body's nourished, your brain thanks you. You feel less foggy, less tired, more you. Even just staying hydrated can change the way your mind functions throughout the day. So here's a quick tip. Keep a glass of water near you in the morning and finish it before your coffee. It's a small habit, but over time it supports mental clarity and keeps your systems running smoothly. And I want to offer one more practice that's simple but deeply powerful. It's called mental stillness. In a world that never stops talking, TV, phones, chatter, background noise, we rarely give our minds a moment of silence. But silence is healing. When you sit quietly for a few minutes each day, just breathing, just observing, you allow your brain to rest and reset. Even 5 minutes of stillness can help reduce anxiety, improve focus, and increase your sense of inner peace. It's like giving your mind a warm bath at the end of a long day. You don't need to meditate like a monk. Just sit by a window. Listen to the birds. Feel the sunlight. Let your thoughts drift without judgment. That's enough. You're training your brain to be present, to stop racing, to feel calm again. Because here's the truth. One of the biggest regrets people express later in life isn't just about missed opportunities. It's about how often they let their thoughts run the show, how often they worried instead of living, rushed instead of savoring. You have the power to change that now. By caring for your mind, feeding it, challenging it, and giving it rest, you're honoring the most precious part of yourself, your awareness, your presence, your aliveness. You've already done something beautiful today just by watching this. You're investing in your own growth, and that tells me one thing: you're not done yet. There's so much more life left to live, so many more moments to notice, conversations to be had, lessons to learn, wisdom to share. And now that we've talked about keeping the mind sharp, it's time to go even deeper. Because even a healthy body and mind can feel heavy if the heart is tired. In the next part, we're going to talk about something that often gets overlooked: your emotional well-being, your peace, your self-worth, and how you can begin to heal and strengthen that side of yourself, no matter what you've been through or how late it may feel. You deserve joy, you deserve stillness, and you deserve a life that feels deeply fulfilling, even now. Let's talk about that next. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you paused and asked yourself, how do I really feel today? Not what's on the to-do list, not how your joints feel, not what the news said this morning, but you, your heart, your inner weather. Because here's a truth that most people avoid: emotional health doesn't take care of itself. And over time, if we ignore our deeper feelings, our grief, our anger, our longing, our self-worth, they don't disappear, they settle. They settle into our body, our habits, our silence. And one of the greatest regrets we hear from those in their 80s and 90s isn't about money or health or fame. It's this: I wish I had healed sooner. I wish I had loved myself more. I wish I had let go of the guilt, the resentment, the fear, and just lived. Let's not carry that weight any longer. Because the beautiful thing is this: it's never too late to come back home to yourself. You see, emotional self-care doesn't require a big breakthrough. It doesn't require therapy or deep analysis. It begins with something simpler, something softer: permission. Permission to feel what you feel, to forgive yourself for past mistakes, to say, I did the best I could with what I knew then, to let go of the voices that said you weren't enough, to stop carrying other people's burdens on your back. It's time to lay them down. You've carried enough. And now, maybe for the first time in decades, you can start choosing peace over pressure, stillness over shame, and self-love over silent suffering. One of the most healing practices you can begin today is also one of the gentlest. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a dear friend. You've been through so much. Life hasn't been easy. You've given, sacrificed, endured. But you've also grown, loved, laughed, survived. You deserve compassion. So when that old voice of criticism creeps in, the one that says you're too late or you didn't do enough, replace it. Replace it with something wiser. Something like, I'm proud of how far I've come. I've made mistakes, but I'm learning. I deserve peace too. Because here's the truth, how you speak to yourself becomes the story you live in, and it's not too late to rewrite that story. You are not a burden, you are not past your prime, you are still becoming, and if you've been carrying pain, emotional wounds that never fully healed, it's okay to feel them now. It's okay to cry, to journal, to sit quietly and release the tears that never got to fall. That isn't weakness, that's cleansing. That's wisdom leaving the body. You don't have to be strong all the time. You don't have to pretend to be okay when you're not. Real strength is honesty. Real healing is softness. And here's something powerful to remember. Joy is still available, even now. Even if you've lost people you loved. Even if you feel alone sometimes. Even if your body isn't what it once was. Joy can still enter your day through the smallest of windows. A song that brings back a beautiful memory. A walk where you stop and smell the air after the rain. A handwritten letter. A fresh cup of tea, sipped slowly. A moment of stillness on your front porch, watching the world. These are sacred things. And when you begin to honor those small joys, your heart starts to open again. Because self-care at this age isn't about candles or spa days, it's about tending to your spirit. And part of that is letting go of things that no longer serve you. Let go of resentment. It poisons your peace. Let go of old grudges. They rob you of energy. Let go of guilt over what you didn't know at the time. You were doing your best. Let go of the need to be who you used to be. Let go of trying to keep up with anyone else. Instead, embrace quiet, embrace rest, embrace gratitude, and most of all, embrace yourself. You've been here for decades. You've lived through times others only read about in history books. You've seen the world change and you've changed with it. That's not something small. That's not something to hide. That's something to celebrate. So here's your reminder. You are worthy of joy. You are worthy of healing. You are worthy of softness. And you are allowed to be proud of the person you've become. Don't let the regrets of others become your own. Don't let the years go by without giving yourself this one great gift. Peace, deep, inner, unshakable peace. And from that peace, a new chapter will begin. Not because you forced it, but because you finally allowed it. Let's carry that energy forward. In the next part, we're going to talk about something that surprises a lot of people, passion and purpose. Yes, even now. Because one of the greatest regrets of the elderly isn't just that they got old, it's that they stopped dreaming. You don't have to stop, you can still create, still contribute, still matter. Let's talk about that next. Let me tell you something, the world doesn't say enough. You still have a mission, not because you're busy, not because you're useful, but because you're alive. And as long as you have breath, you have purpose. Too many people hit a certain age and quietly begin to fade. Not because their soul is tired, but because the world stops asking them to shine. Society whispers, it's time to rest. But the heart still burns. You don't lose your purpose with age. You forget it. Buried under the dust of routines and silent expectations. And that's one of the great regrets that haunts the elderly. I wish I had kept creating. I wish I hadn't shrunk myself to fit a life that was no longer mine. I still had something inside me, but I let it rot on the shelf. But not you. Not now. Not anymore. Because here's the truth. You are entering the richest chapter of your story. And for the first time, you're not living for a paycheck. Not hustling to raise kids or meet deadlines. You're finally free to ask the most important question of all. What would I love to do, just because it matters to me? Maybe it's writing your story down, so your grandchildren and their children will know where they come from. Maybe it's painting, gardening, playing an instrument you never got to learn. Maybe it's teaching others what you've spent a lifetime understanding. Maybe it's starting that little business you always dreamed about. Or maybe it's simply choosing to live every day on purpose. You see, passion isn't loud. Sometimes it's quiet, gentle, sacred. It's the thing that brings you back to life without asking anything in return. It's the smile you wear after doing something that made your heart sing. And here's a secret. Your passion is connected to your peace. When you do what you love, even for a few minutes a day, your soul begins to bloom again. Because passion is not a luxury, it's fuel. And when you find something you care about, even in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, you'll find a new reason to get up in the morning. Let's break a myth right here and now. You are not too old to start something new. You are seasoned. You are wise. And your years, they're not a limitation, they're an asset. While others chase likes, trends, and quick wins, you have something they can't fake: depth, experience, integrity. You don't need to compete, you just need to share. And that's where purpose enters the room. Purpose isn't about changing the world in one grand gesture. It's about showing up consistently to the thing that makes your soul feel aligned. Sometimes it's being the elder who listens with patience. Sometimes it's being the one who writes a letter that shifts someone's life. Sometimes it's being a quiet example of love, strength, and resilience. Purpose is a posture. It's how you walk into the day. And here's a practical truth. You feel more energy when you're connected to meaning. Your body may slow down, but your spirit, it wakes up. That's why you've seen people in their 80s still building, still teaching, still smiling, still starting foundations, still mentoring, because they tapped into that one priceless realization: my life still matters, and so does yours. What's something you always said you'd do when the time is right? What's something you wish you hadn't abandoned? Pick it back up, even if it's just for you, even if no one watches, even if it's imperfect, because the joy isn't in the outcome, it's in the becoming. You're not done, you're just getting started on a new kind of chapter. One where wisdom leads, one where peace becomes your compass. Let me give you an anchor for this part of your journey. Live every day as if your soul is finally free to speak, because it is. You don't have to wait for anyone's permission. You don't need to shrink yourself to fit someone else's comfort. Let your creativity roar. Let your hands create. Let your voice rise. Even if it's quiet, even if it's small, let it rise. The final regret of so many elders isn't that they aged, but that they stopped living before life stopped them. Don't make that mistake. Wake up with intention. Go to sleep with pride. And fill the in-between with things that mean something to you. You're not too old for passion. You're not too late for purpose. You're not too tired to try. You're right on time for something deeper. And in the next part, we'll talk about what most people avoid: the end of life, and how facing it head-on can actually bring more peace, clarity, and joy than you ever imagined. Because when you stop fearing the end, you finally start living the middle. Let's go there, gently, bravely, together. Let's talk about what most people spend their whole lives avoiding. Death, not to scare you, not to darken the tone, but to set you free. Because the greatest gift aging gives you is perspective. And when you stop running from the end, something sacred happens. You start living fully right now. You see, most people pretend death doesn't exist. They rush through life, chasing noise, chasing numbers, chasing someday, and then one day they look up and realize they never truly lived. But not you, not now. Because here's the truth, the wise ones know, death is not the enemy. Fear of death is. Once you face it, once you accept it, not with dread but with peace, you unlock something rare: clarity. You realize what actually matters. You stop clinging to things that were never yours to carry. You start saying what you mean. You start loving people harder. You start breathing deeper, walking slower, laughing louder, and you realize, I don't need more years, I need more presence. You see, death isn't a deadline. It's a reminder that your time is sacred. So instead of trying to beat it, dance with it. Let it be your mentor. Let it be your mirror. Ask yourself, if this was my last month, would I be proud of how I'm spending it? Would I still hold that grudge? Would I still avoid that conversation? Would I still put off the things that call my soul? Or would I finally let go? Would I forgive faster? Would I sit with the sun longer? Would I write that letter? Would I say I love you, even if my voice shook? Here's the beautiful irony of facing death. You don't become more afraid, you become more alive. Because the fear of death doesn't protect you, it paralyzes you. It keeps you playing small. It keeps you clinging to the illusion of control. It keeps you numb. When you were born to feel everything, but you're waking up now, and it's time to rewrite the story. You are not a candle burning out. You are a torch, passing on light. So let's talk legacy. Not the kind written on gravestones. The kind etched in hearts. Your legacy is the love you gave, the wisdom you shared, the way you made people feel seen. It's the meals you cooked with your hands, the laughs you sparked without trying, the grace you extended when no one was watching. That's what people will remember. They won't talk about your resume, they'll talk about your energy, how your presence made them feel safe, or inspired, or held. So ask yourself, what energy am I leaving behind? Because you still have time. Time to heal, time to reconnect, time to leave a mark, not in stone but in spirit. Maybe there's someone you need to forgive, not for them but for you. Maybe there's something you need to say, even if you cry through it. Maybe there's a version of yourself you're ready to meet, the one who walks lightly, laughs freely, and no longer fears the end. Because when you make peace with death, you stop dying slowly and start living loudly. This is the paradox. Mortality doesn't steal your life. It gives it shape. It adds weight to the moment. It adds soul to the smile. It adds meaning to the mundane. And so the invitation is simple. Don't wait until the end to start being fully here. Take the walk. Write the poem. Call the person. Cry if you need to. Laugh as loud as you can. Because you are not running out of time. You're waking up to it. And the most radiant elders, they're not the ones who live the longest. They're the ones who live the most honestly. And now as we step into the next chapter, I want to show you something even more powerful. The role of community, love and emotional intimacy in the second half of life. Because the truth is no one was ever meant to walk this path alone. And your heart, no matter how many winters it's seen, still blooms in the light of connection. Let's talk about that next. Let's speak the truth, gently but boldly. Growing older isn't just about wrinkles or wisdom, it's about relationship. Not just with others, but with yourself. Because by this stage of life you've seen enough to know, nothing matters more than connection. It's not the money, not the trophies, not even the dreams you chased. It's who stood beside you. It's who saw you when you didn't know how to see yourself. It's who made you laugh when the world felt heavy. And in the second half of life, connection becomes medicine. The science is simple. Loneliness is deadly. It shortens life faster than obesity or smoking. But love heals. It lowers stress. It strengthens the immune system. It keeps the mind sharp and the heart soft. But more than that, love gives you a reason to wake up in the morning. Now here's the catch. As we grow older, the world often becomes quieter. Friends pass. Children grow distant. Busyness replaces depth. But that's why this chapter is so powerful. Because now you get to choose deliberately what kind of connection you crave. You get to say, I want intimacy. I want truth. I want real, not rushed. You get to build soulful friendships, not just social calendars. You get to explore deep companionship, even if romance looks different now. You get to soften, open, reveal yourself, because the masks are no longer needed. And maybe that means rekindling old relationships. Maybe it means healing wounds with your children. Maybe it means joining a book club, dancing group, or spiritual circle, not for activity, but for belonging. You're not too old to fall in love again, not too old to make a best friend, not too old to say I'm lonely and be met with, me too, because the lie culture tells is that intimacy fades with age. The truth, it deepens. After 60, love becomes slower, but also richer. It's no longer about appearances, it's about presence. No longer about proving yourself. It's about being yourself. You start to attract people who don't want your mask. They want your story. They don't need your perfection. They honor your scars. And that's when you find soul connection. The kind where silence is comfortable, where a glance says more than a paragraph, where the presence of someone in the room feels like home. But to feel that, you must be brave. Brave enough to be seen, brave enough to reach out again, brave enough to let someone in. Maybe your heart's been broken before. Maybe trust doesn't come easy. Maybe you've convinced yourself it's too late, but listen carefully. It's not too late. It's just time. Time to love again. Time to open again. Time to feel again. Because if your heart is still beating, then love is still possible. And not just romantic love. Family love. Friendship love. Self-love. The kind that heals generations. The kind that transcends age. The kind that turns ordinary afternoons into sacred moments. You don't need a crowd. You just need a few people who know how to sit with your silence. And if you haven't found them yet, go look, join something, call someone, ask better questions, speak from the heart, let go of small talk. Ask, what are you grieving lately? Ask, what makes you come alive now? Ask, what's the kindest thing someone ever did for you? These questions open doors, and behind those doors, connection, intimacy, belonging. Even if your body moves slower, even if your circle is small, you can still experience the most profound relationships of your life, right now. And what makes it all sweeter? You've earned this level of love, the kind that doesn't rush, the kind that doesn't judge, the kind that just sits, stays, listens, and stays some more. So, as we prepare for the final chapter of this journey, ask yourself this: who do I want to walk with in these golden years? Whose eyes light up when I walk into the room? And how can I become that light for someone else? Because the most graceful elders are not the ones who withdraw. They're the ones who still reach out, still laugh with their whole chest, still cry in the arms of others, still say I love you like it's the most important truth on earth. And maybe now, it is. Let's carry this love forward into our final chapter together, the return becoming a guide, a light, and a living legacy. There comes a point in every story where the hero doesn't chase glory anymore. He returns home, not to rest, but to give. That's where you are now. After the battles, after the lessons, after the healing and the pain and the beauty, you carry something sacred inside you now, wisdom, and not the kind found in books, the kind that comes from scars. You have become a guide. Whether you realize it or not, there are eyes watching you, hearts looking to you, souls needing what only you can give. This final chapter is not about fading into the background. It's about stepping into the firelight of your truth. You don't need a stage. You don't need applause. You just need the courage to live out loud, because your very presence, your way of being, can heal generations. So ask yourself, what kind of elder will I be? Will I be bitter or bold? Will I retreat or reveal? Will I cling to what was or stand for what still can be? You don't need to preach. You just need to be real. Share the stories that matter. Tell the truth, even if your voice shakes. Let your softness become strength, and your silence become wisdom. Because in this world of noise, the still ones, the grounded, the calm, the radiant, they are the ones who lead. You can become that. You are that. Look around you. There are young people starving for guidance, a generation obsessed with speed, but longing for stillness. And here you are, walking slower, but seeing clearer. You've buried loved ones. You've held babies in your arms. You've felt both heartbreak and joy in their purest forms. And now you are being asked to pass the torch, but not just with words, with your way of life. Let them watch how you breathe through stress, laugh without shame, cry without apology, love without fear, age without hiding. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. The greatest legacy you leave won't be in a bank account. It will be in the memories people hold of how you made them feel. She made me feel seen. He taught me how to forgive. They showed me how to be brave. And here's the real secret. You're still becoming, even now. There's a myth that says you stop growing after 60. But if anything, this is when the soul finally has room to expand. Now that the noise is gone, now that the striving is over, now that the mask has fallen, you are not becoming old. You are becoming true. True to your voice, true to your heart, true to the person you were always meant to be. And when you live like that, fully, joyfully, powerfully, you become a beacon, not a fading light, but a guiding star. So go ahead, write that memoir, record that video, teach that lesson, tell that story, hug that child, speak that blessing, forgive that grudge, dance in your living room, cry in front of someone who needs to know it's okay to feel. This is your time, not to disappear, but to leave light. Let them say, she didn't grow old, she grew open. He didn't slow down, he deepened. They didn't retire, they returned to themselves, to truth, to what matters most. Because in the end, it's not how many years you lived, it's how many lives you touched. And you are touching lives, even now, even through this video, even through your silent choices. So walk on, elder, with grace, with power, with a heart wide open and arms ready to embrace this final, beautiful, radiant chapter of becoming. You are not finished. You are forever becoming. And that is the gift you leave behind.